Good afternoon. I'm sitting here with Kevin Lollock. He is the Regional Product Manager of our operating systems and our development platforms here at Zebra. We've been talking a lot about operating system, the landscape, what's out there right now. One of the things that I know a lot of the partners hear about, and because I get asked about it, is iOS. There's an iDevice out there. They want to use iPads on the shop floor, maybe in a lift truck, for maybe some sort of inventory. They want to use iPads in rugged environments. How do we compete against iOS?
I love that question. And actually, we've got quite a bit of experience in competing against or positioning against iOS in a lot of places. We've even had a lot of conversations with organizations that have implemented iOS as a platform, and then had second thoughts because of some experiences, some of which I'll share with you. We like to call those Apple turnovers, just so you know.
But I didn't eat lunch. I'm getting hungry.
But what's interesting about that, and the way I relate this to a lot of customers, is think about using iOS in your own personal experience.
Okay.
Right. In fact, we're filming this on an iPhone. But one of the things that's concerning to the enterprise, especially adopting a consumer-grade platform, is the life cycle. Right? You're limited to basically an 18-month window of viability for a given platform. And usually when I'm talking to customers, how many of you have Android versus iOS? And I key in and talking to those iOS users and ask them, when you got an update from Apple to update iOS, how many of you had the experience of where it broke an application that you used? And every single one of those users has raised their hands and say, at one time or another, an iOS update broke.
One of my apps didn't work, right?
One of my apps didn't work, right? Which, if you put that back into enterprise context, do I want to bet my worker productivity and my customer satisfaction on something that I can't control, which may or may not break an application that I use to keep my workers productive?
So then, but talk about context. With our versions of even like open source Android, we're not going to force an update. Even if one version of the dessert goes to the next version of the dessert, it's up to the end user to decide when they want to do that update, if they want to do that update.
Exactly, right. And even retailers that have implemented iOS, and they'll send out emails and they'll message their users, don't accept an update. But inevitably, one of their end users is going to hit the big red button and say update now, which in a sense bricks the device from a productivity standpoint. The other aspect about iOS, which is interesting, is when we compare a rugged platform versus a consumer platform, think about all the accessories that need to be added to an iOS device in order to be able to make it viable for the enterprise. Battery packs to extend the usability of a device during a shift.
Those iOS are not replaceable battery packs, though.
Exactly, right. So you have to have a
devices.
sled, right?
Or sled, okay.
Yeah, or scanning, right? So they make an investment in the infrastructure that sometimes either equates to or exceeds the investment that they actually make in the gadget, right?
Right.
And if you remember when Apple went from the iPhone 4 to the iPhone 5,
They went to the Lightning connector versus
they went to a Lightning connector, which basically overnight obsoleted the investment that an organization made in its supporting infrastructure for that device.
Right.
So it's, you're basically at the whim of a consumer device manufacturer in order to be able to drive to drive that acceptance in value within the enterprise itself.
That makes sense. And for those of you watching on our Partner Central, and I'm not sure if it'll be called Partner Central after a couple of weeks, but on our partner portal, we have a phenomenal consumerization sleeve of utilities. There's a TCO calculator out there that gives a really good TCO report, a nice, very professional deliverable that you as partners can run through the TCO calculator with your end user and then share this report with them. And it goes through in a very unbiased kind of way. I mean, there may be an application where maybe consumer is the right way to go, and I'm sure there's probably some of those out there. But there's an awful lot of them. People are just saying, well, they're thinking of an initial outlay of capex or whatever.
Right.
They're not thinking of long-term total cost ownership. So with even digging this out further is the iOS radios are very promiscuous. They're gonna attach to anything, but they're not gonna wanna roam.
Exactly,
You know, things
yeah.
like that. And we could take this conversation, we could have this conversation for probably 20, 30, 40 minutes, probably.
We should do another video.
And we just might, you never know.
Right.
We haven't kicked you out of here yet. But yeah, so I mean, there's so many other things, but, you know, I want to give a bit of an overview to people watching this. You know, there's a lot of competitive information to fight the iOS battle.
Yep,
Thanks, Kevin.
very good, thank you.